Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're talking about the third installment in the Twilight series, Eclipse. So in this book, Edward has returned. So Bella and Edward are together and happy, but still dealing with the result of Edward's actions, Bella's feelings for Jacob Black. And while all of this personal romantic drama is going on, Bella is also being hunted by a newborn army that we eventually discover was created by Victoria from the first book. And this book is very fast. The timeline's very short. It's really just a couple weeks in this one, which is a little different from the other books. And honestly, I think that is to its benefit. I have to admit that a lot of my irony in reading the series as a whole kind of fell away with this book. I was enjoying it. There's just a lot of like action and danger and actual risk in this one. We get to know some of the more interesting members of the Cullen family a bit in this one. Overall, it's kind of one of the more exciting books in this series, I think. Certainly, it was much more interesting than New Moon. But of course, despite the kind of benefits and the exciting plot and all of these great side characters, all of our main characters are kind of terrible. Starting with Bella Swan herself. Bella, she was extra getting on my nerves in this one, like extra bad. For one thing, we have to acknowledge that she is majorly leading Jacob on. She has no intention of being with Jacob. There's no world where that happens. And she kind of excuses it away because she's, supposedly made those feelings clear to him. But her words and her actions don't really match up. I mean, this is an engaged person at this point who's holding hands with Jacob and like cuddling with him all the time when they're together. Those are mixed signals, Bella. Something else that I really notice is that Bella is irritatingly forgiving of the other characters, namely Edward and Jacob. We will talk about them more because they both did some really terrible things in this book. But it hardly even matters. There's no consequences when they do bad things because Bella can never get angry at anyone. And even if she does, it's highly temporary and she knows she's gonna forgive them. They both are doing things that are like abusive and not okay, and Bella just like rolls over and is like, oh, they just do it because they love me. Poor Edward, poor Jacob. It is very annoying. Like, Bella has no backbone at all. And another way that she has no backbone, a very, very irritating personality trait of Bella, is that she's constantly having breakdowns. Like, she's literally like fainting or like going into hysterics. And it's always at a moment when someone else needs attention, someone else needs care, someone else needs comfort, and Bella just completely loses it, and then everybody has to go comfort Bella. That alone is like, if Bella was a real person, I would not want to be friends with her. Like, for instance, Edward and Bella have a very tight window to get back to the clearing after the battle to meet with the members of the Volturi, which is important that they're there. They're a united front for Bella's safety and the Cullens. And at the suggestion, with no details given to her, that Jacob was injured, she faints. And everyone has to sit around and coddle Bella in this very intense moment where they don't have time to deal with this. And then at the end of the book, where Bella and Jacob kind of have this final breakup scene, which was played much more dramatically in the movies than it played out in the books. But anyways, I mean, Bella's actively and finally breaking it to Jacob, breaking his heart, and then she ends up crying and freaking out and making Jacob comfort her. She's a very frustrating main character in so many ways. Another issue that I think becomes very apparent in Eclipse is that every other character in this story is more interesting than Bella and Edward. I mean, everyone else has a more compelling backstory. Their worldview is more interesting. Like, Bella and Edward are just this, like, teenage overwrought love story in comparison. For instance, we learn about sort of the backstories of more of the Cullens in this book. In particular, we get Rosalie's whole story. You know, she was engaged to a rich man and was set up to kind of have everything she wanted in life, including a family. And then she has this brutal death where everything is taken away from her, and she resents being a vampire at all because she can't have the things she wants in this form. But it's nice that we see more of Rosalie. She starts out very harsh in the series, and it's good to sort of unravel that because I think she might be one of my favorite characters. Just, she's actually struggling with a real issue, unlike the main characters. And most of her actions are based on the completely valid and reasonable opinion that Bella should remain human. Then we also get Jasper's background in this book. You know, he's very necessary to the plot because of his newborn expertise. And it's like an interesting revelation and kind of an interesting aspect to his character that Jasper is a lot older than almost all of the other people in the Cullen family. But because he's new to like the vegetarian life, he gets treated a bit like a child. But he actually spent like 100 years in this newborn army war zone before Alice. I mean, we have to admit that all of this is more interesting than like having the Spanish flu. And apparently being a rich kid with the Spanish flu, since Edward has all these diamond trinkets from his mother that he can give to Bella now. But anyways, I mean, Jasper and Alice have such main character energy. It makes you not like Bella and Edward in comparison. Like, Jasper and Alice are clearly in an equal partnership where they respect each other's choices. Alice has some strength and a backbone. Jasper is at least charming. Like, Bella and Edward are totally overshadowed by all of this, in my opinion. Even like the wolf pack and the kind of developing dynamics going on there are more interesting than what's going on with Bella and Edward. You know, the Leah Clearwater stuff kind of just starts in this book, but I know her character gets really interesting and complicated in Breaking Dawn, as I remember it. So yeah, I mean, just the things that Bella and Edward struggle with are just not as interesting as all these other problems and stories and backgrounds. So, we have to discuss. In my last video about New Moon, I took a pretty hard Team Jacob stance. And I think, especially pre-Wolf, that was a fair take. But unfortunately, after Eclipse, we have to backtrack a lot of that. And now it's just like, Jacob and Edward are both terrible, and there's no good team here. So Jacob's whole MO this entire book is to ignore completely what Bella is saying about her feelings and just continue to pursue her anyways. Which is not good. Like, that's not a good thing to do to women. And then, I mean, he literally just assaults her in this book. Like, in graphic detail, he assaults her. I don't remember ever really strongly questioning this at all as a child, which is a little disturbing now. But he uses his strength to force himself on her, basically, to make her kiss him. And then when that doesn't work out, he later threatens to kill himself to get her to kiss him again. Like, there's no excuse for that. That is like textbook emotionally abusive. And I think in a book that's targeted to teenagers who are especially prone to getting into relationships like that in the real world, we need to take a pretty hard line and say that's not okay, Stephanie. But of course, Bella immediately forgives him, isn't mad at him at all about that, even though it's a terrible, unacceptable thing to do. And then after that, he has the nerve, the gall to also insist upon the quality of that kiss. Like, this is irredeemable. How can we root for Jacob now? But don't worry, that doesn't mean we're Team Edward now. Especially in the first half of the book, Edward is very frustrating. He is so controlling. He goes to these extreme lengths to keep Bella from seeing Jacob, supposedly for her safety. Like, he disables her truck. He has Alice hold Bella hostage whenever he goes out of town. And it's like, I think we all know by now that one of the classic early signs of an abusive relationship is to isolate you from your friends and try to control who you can see. So maybe let's not do that. Like, that's the thing, is I feel like the book is constantly trying to sell to us that Bella is so mature for her age to make the fact that he started dating a 17-year-old okay, but then at the same time, he doesn't let her make any decisions for herself and treats her like a child. Like, and then eventually he gives in and like loosens up a little bit on these rules he has for Bella. Like he's her dad or something. But even then, like, the whole thing just feels like emotionally manipulative, and like some of the things he does, it's like, you're 100 years old. Like, shouldn't you be beyond this? Like, letting it slip to Jacob that him and Bella are engaged. Like, he kind of acts like a brat in a lot of this book. So yeah, the action, the whole concept of the newborn army, all of that adds to the tension and the fun and entertainment value of this book. But certainly as an adult, the like melodramatic romance, it all feels very teenager. Like, we have this 18-year-old girl choosing between two guys, and everyone is operating under the assumption that whoever she chooses is going to be her life partner forever. And then Jacob, who is only 16 years old, when his heart is broken, everyone, Bella and Jacob, are assuming that he's just going to be in a permanent state of heartbreak unless he imprints on someone. That's how deeply he loves Bella. Like, Jacob, you're 16 years old. Like, I know we can't apply logic and rationality to this series, but every 16-year-old has their heart broken, and every 16-year-old gets over it. Like, but truly, the sort of teenager stereotype of everything being the end of the world, extremely present in the Twilight series. You know, of course, the book ends with Bella officially engaged to Edward and barreling towards the very permanent decision of immortality. And yes, very quickly, like, I'm pretty sure if you take out the 7 months where Edward was gone in New Moon, they haven't even like been dating seriously together for a year total. Do you guys remember the like accompanying book to this, The Short Second Life of Bree Tanner, that like shows what's going on with the newborn army? I still have that. It's like on my shelf back there. I didn't really want to read it for this, but I feel like we all just kind of blocked that from our memories. Anyways, as promised, as I've been doing in all of these videos, I do have an update to the question of what do the Cullens do with all their time? Do they have interests? Do they have hobbies? And honestly, we don't find out much that's new in this one. We do find out that Rosalie is like an expert mechanic and is interested in cars in general. Also, can we count like Warcraft as a hobby for Jasper? I don't know. Anyways, there's just one more book in the series, the book with some of the most insane plot developments in the series. Some of the things that we make fun of the most looking back on it now, so I'm excited to get into it. But yeah, that's all I have for this video on Eclipse. Thanks for watching. Bye.